thanks so much everyone for being here. It's amazing looking around the room and seeing you all here. It's incredible. We've got artists and managers, venues and festivals, producers, engineers, labels, publishers, crew, community radio, educators, regional reps, and a shout out to the regional people that have travelled in today. We've got the massive come in from Surf Coast and Geelong, Warrnambool, and Castlemaine, and we've got Mildura, Echuca and Shepparton. So thank you for making that effort. And we've also got the crew that have come down from Sydney to support us as well. So thank you to ARIA, AFA, Deputy Chair from APRA and Sony, Damien, thank you. So I really appreciate everyone being here supporting today. We don't always agree on everything, and nor should we. But over the past few months, more than 250 people across Victorian music have contributed to the platform that we're launching today. And what has been striking is how much agreement there is about the big things, because we know Victoria is great at music. And we look at what's happening right now. Dom, Amel, Kingies, Vance, Tones, Teskies. Victorian artists are succeeding on some of the biggest stages in the world. But this isn't just a story about successful artists, it's also a story about a valuable Victorian industry. And the numbers tell the story. Victoria's music industry generates around $3.55 billion per year in revenue and contributes $1.28 billion directly to the Victorian economy. That's around 1/3 of Australia's entire music industry revenue is in this state. Ticketed live performances alone generated almost $484 million in Victoria. And we have more than 2,400 live music spaces programming music, more than 250 festivals, more than 120 independent record labels, and around 40% of Australia's music managers are based in Victoria. And the highest state cohort of songwriters and creators registered with APRA is here in Victoria. The industry is in Victoria. And Melbourne has more record shops per capita than any other city in the world. And why? Because Victorians love music. We make it, we buy it, we go and see it, we travel for it, we build businesses around it, we gather around it. Music is much more than a cultural add-on. Music is economic infrastructure, it's regional infrastructure, it's social infrastructure. And we're talking about investing in an industry that already delivers enormous value to Victoria. I'm going to say this number again, and I think I've just got to build it in for everyone. We are a $3.55 billion a year industry, and it's time that we were treated like one. Because right now, government policy and investment do not reflect the value of this sector. And there's another part of the story. The extraordinary success we see at the top is masking what's happening underneath. Big music grows from small places. The artists filling arenas today didn't start there. They started in rehearsal rooms, pubs, community venues, on small stages, places where they could experiment, learn, build audiences and get better. And around them was an entire industry building with them, the managers, the labels, publishers, promoters, producers, the techs and venue operators. And that pipeline really matters because success isn't only an artist filling an arena. A band making records and touring for 20 years is success. A 300 capacity venue programming music every week is success. A regional festival bringing people and money into a town is success. But there are cracks appearing all down the pipeline. And our live music venues audit showed almost 20% decline in venues over the last 5 years, and that's 1 in 5. Costs have risen across almost every part of making and presenting music, and artists are finding it harder to sustain careers. Venues and festivals are operating on tighter margins, music businesses have less certainty, and this year we've seen an unprecedented demand for grant funding. So both things can be true, it's a dual reality. Victorian music can be extraordinarily successful, and the ecosystem underneath that success can be increasingly fragile. Once we lose those venues and businesses, skills and career pathways, it's incredibly difficult to rebuild, and that's why we're here today. More than 250 people across Victoria Music came together around 4 things Victoria needs to do. It's invest, support, grow and protect. Together, we're asking the next Victorian government, whoever that may be, for $114 million over 4 years. That's $28.5 million a year, and that's for a $3.55 billion industry. So what are we asking for? First is invest. Establish a Victorian Music Trust, a permanent, independently governed fund for Victorian music protected by legislation, funded through a 1% levy on major live music events at stadiums, arenas, and government-owned venues. Our conservative modelling suggests it could generate around $4.5 million every year, which would be reliable funding for Victorian artists, venues, and the grassroots music ecosystem year after year. And I'll come back to the trust because one thing I really want you to leave understanding here today, but this is the oxygen level that will keep an ongoing investment in our grassroots sector. The second is support. Support Victorian artists and the businesses that build careers alongside them. We're asking for contemporary music investment of at least $9 million a year, committed over 4 years, because you can't build careers or business one grant at a time. Fund the creation of music and what it takes to release, market it, tour it, and take it out to audiences, and create dedicated support for the independent labels, the managers, the publishers, and businesses that turn talent into sustainable careers. When government commissions music for publicly funded campaigns and events, Victorian artists must be the first call. The third, grow. Build the next generation of careers, skills, and audiences across Victoria. We're asking for $6 million a year for a statewide approach, from music in schools and better support for teachers to paid pathways into production and tech roles. Support all age shows, regional touring, recorded music, screen games, and export. Because if we want the next generation of Victorian music, we have to give them somewhere to start. The fourth, protect. So protect the places where music happens. We're asking for $8.5 million a year alongside regulatory reform that makes it easier, not harder, to put on live music. Simpler, consistent, risk-based regulation. Prioritise live music precincts across metropolitan and regional Victoria. Stronger for protections for existing venues. Investment in music places and infrastructure. And a permanent live music regulatory desk to cut through barriers across government. Because we can't keep calling ourselves the live music capital while making live music harder and more expensive to put on. So that's invest, support, grow, and protect. They work together. Artists need places to play, venues need artists and audiences, and neither can thrive without the managers, the labels, the publishers, the promoters, producers, techs, and music businesses. It's an ecosystem, and we need to invest in it like one. And that brings me back to the Victorian Music Trust. Government investment is essential, but we also need something structural and permanent, something that doesn't depend on the next budget, funding round, or election. Victoria is Australia's greatest music market. Every year, enormous amounts are spent on major arena and stadium shows here, but very little, if any, of that major ticket revenue makes it back into the grassroots music ecosystem that makes the top end of the market possible. And we think that should change. A 1% levy on major live music tickets would create a permanent source of investment back into Victorian music. It's not a penalty, it's a reinvestment strategy. And we haven't invented this idea, even though it's pretty cool and we'd love to claim it. France has had a legislated ticket levy supporting music for about 25 years. The UK has introduced a voluntary contribution on arena and stadium tickets, and similar models are being explored and established in Germany, Denmark, and Canada. And here in Australia, the Federal Parliamentary Inquiry into Live Music explicitly recommended a small levy on large music events to support small venues and grassroots live music. National music organisations are already mobilising around a national approach. So the conversation isn't coming, the conversation is actually here. It's not a conversation about, do we want a levy or how will it work, because the levy is coming. The levy is absolutely coming. It's a decision about, will it be a national levy, where the money generated from Victoria ticket sales, where we sell the most arena ticket sales, so that our percentage will be going to a national pool, or does Victoria lead and establish our own mechanism and ensure the money generated by our markets is reinvested back into our artists, our venues and our grassroots music sector? And I have to note that we receive the least funding in music than any other major music state. And for us, the answer is clear, and hopefully it's clear for everyone. Victoria should lead. And I want to be absolutely clear, the trust does not replace government investment, it sits alongside it. It's creating a permanent funding mechanism that grows with the market. It gives Victorian music certainty beyond grant rounds, beyond budgets and election cycles. Every year we're having to go to government, every 12 months asking for money with our little bowl for the crumbs. We've had enough of that. This isn't Music Victoria speaking for itself, this is the industry speaking together. The industry has helped shape this platform, and what we're saying is actually very simple. Victoria has something enormously valuable, a music culture grounded in tens of thousands of years of First Peoples song culture, connection to country, carried forward today by the most extraordinary First People artists and music workers, a $3.55 billion a year contemporary music industry, artists whose music travels around the world, and a population that genuinely loves music. It is our identity. We know the value of music, Victorian music, and everyone in this room knows it. The question for the next Victorian government is whether it's prepared to back it. So this election, we're asking every political party to back Victorian music, invest in it, support in it, grow it, and protect it. Victoria has one of the great music ecosystems in the world. It is valuable, it is worth protecting, and it is worth investing in. Thank you.